Hey everybody, it's just me again, Wayne, holding my cat because otherwise she won't shut up. Thanks for checking out this video. This is part 2 of my discussion with Steve Greene, Old Man Muscle as he calls himself. Steve's YouTube channel is The Iron Vegan, and Steve has got a lot of really interesting stuff on there. I encourage you to go check it out. Steve's been bodybuilding since 1968. Steve knew and interacted with a lot of the greats of the 60s and 70s, including Bill Pearl, Frank Zane, and more. And Steve has got stuff to say about how bodybuilding has changed in these 52 years. Our first video, in fact, focused mainly on that part of the discussion. In this part of the discussion, we're going to talk not exclusively, but at some length, about the state of bodybuilding advice right now. Maybe you've noticed that YouTube has a lot of channels dedicated in whole or in part to bodybuilding, he said, looking around at his own channel. Do you want down? No? Okay. All right, here we go. Part 2 of my discussion with Steve Greene. I hope you like it.
You made a post about this in the comments to one of your most recent videos. A young fellow posted a video with the, pardon my cat, with the unfortunate title of something like, "Let's stop doing science-based training." And I watched that and I read your response to it. And I got the impression that his title was not exactly what he meant to say. He seemed to be saying, and I'm going to borrow a phrase from somebody else, let us not get so hung up on studying the exact science that we end up in analysis paralysis. That's the phrase I'm borrowing, because you can spend forever and ever just trying to figure out exactly the right way to do things. So yes. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I commented to that. I think I know who you're talking about, and I commented to his video because it never used to be this way. 70s, 80s, I started in the late 60s. You just had gyms. But nowadays, with YouTube, the advent of YouTube, in 2006 or whenever it started, anybody with a camera can start dispensing advice. And so you got a lot of young people out there dispensing advice, both women and men, and I've watched a lot of their YouTube videos. And they sound very official. They cite science and studies and all kinds of things, and it gets to the extreme to where it's like you have to have a doctorate in muscle physiology to even get into the gym and get bigger muscles and get stronger. And so it's good to a certain point, but then that analysis paralysis that you said is an excellent couple of words to state it, because there's studies that show everything. In other words, you can go out there on the internet or wherever you want, and you can find this study or this advice or that advice to back up what you want to say. So you can support anything. You can support any kind of diet, any kind of training. That's just the way it is. And so the new people go out there. They got all these experts now on YouTube, many of whom are very young and have very little experience, but they're talking like experts and they're citing studies. And when you start citing studies, that impresses a lot of people on the bell curve, 100, whoa, wow, this guy's citing studies.
Was it Mark Twain who said there are lies, damn lies, and statistics? I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it just gets worse the farther you go, doesn't it? People today, I can see a young person out there today who just get totally confused with all this advice. These people are saying do this, these people are saying do that, and then sometimes they're just polar opposites. Like, guys, if I do what that guy does, it's exactly what this guy over here is telling me not to do. Mm-hmm. So where is the truth in that? Where's the path I need to follow to build big muscles and get strong? Yeah, I'm not going to go on and on about it, but yeah, you do get paralyzed. And I can find myself getting paralyzed because when I watch individual presentations, they all sound like they have a good basis in what they're saying. I can identify when some are giving just really bad advice, like working your abdominals, for example. Much of the advice, probably most of it, is bad advice for a lot of typical things like leg raises and stuff like that don't work the abs. But I could get paralyzed if I allow myself to. I mean, it's just like when you look, I watched the Mr. Olympia bodybuilding contest recently, 2020 contest. And if you see any single guy by himself, you look at him, you just say, wow, I'm blown away. That guy's the winner. But then somebody else comes out, wow, you know, and then they all stand together and gosh, the guy I thought was the winner, he's not as big or defined as this other guy over here. And so a lot of things look good by themselves. So you have to look at the totality of the evidence. And to do that takes years and experience. Learning things the hard way in the gym is the best teacher, obviously. You do something and you start hurting yourself, that'll tell you right now that, okay, it might work for this person over here, or they're getting by with it, but it's not good advice.
Yeah, that makes sense. That the notion of understanding context, so that, you know, when one gets advice or when you see, you know, one person working out and something's going very well for them, understanding that there is such a tremendous range of, well, I mean, we all have, hypothetically, you know, there's a baseline human physiology, but beyond that baseline, things spread out tremendously in all the directions. I know a lot of guys, well, I'm sorry, a lot of people, I should say, huge fans of the bench press. And that's great if that works for them. I don't do barbell bench press, and I haven't for quite some time, because I invariably injure myself doing the barbell bench press, and I seldom find that it gives me any gains that are worth taking that chance. So, you know, barbell bench press, great. That works for some folks. Doesn't for me. And yeah, unfortunately, it took being sidelined a few times for that to sink in. So, but
well, bench press is a good example. I used to do bench presses a lot. Okay, I have a small frame, small bones, and I have long arms. Okay, so when I owned my gym, there was a guy in there that had a huge barrel chest, short guy, gigantic barrel chest, and short arms. So the maximum grip on a bench press is 81 centimeters for competitive powerlifting, which I did I tried powerlifting for a while, so I had that 81 centimeters marked off on my Olympic bars in my gym. And that guy would go in there, he'd go to 81 centimeters, and that bar only had to move this far before it hit his chest. I mean, we're talking about 9 inches.
Oh, sure.
And that was a full rep, which would count. Okay, well, it wasn't that great for me at all. I mean, you know, my reach was 2.5 times his. And so I got very adept at studying how the powerlifters were doing it, 81 centimeter, turning the hands out like this. So the bar goes across here, flaring the elbows up high, coming down. I got all into the proper powerlifting form. Well, okay, that allowed me to get my bench press up. My bench press has always been one of my weakest things, but it also ends up messing up your shoulders. It's just not a productive exercise. Can you grow? Sure. But I always did I did a lot of dumbbell work in addition to it. And for a long time, the bench press was always an ego thing. There's people, what are the questions? Two main questions that a guy is always asked. How much can you bench press, and how big are your arms? Okay, so I got my bench press up over into the threes finally, but you know, yeah, I haven't done it for well, I have a light barbell here, and sometimes I do, but not with my arms flared or anything like that. But you know, when I got my arms up to 18.25 at one point. And so those are the two big questions. So when you're totally ego driven, you're into these things that are these supposed benchmarks of weightlifting. Fortunately, there are a lot of YouTubers out there now. There are sensible guys that do know what they're talking about, that are explaining this, that there are better ways to if you're a bodybuilder, not a power lifter.
Mm-hmm.
Bodybuilder, your goal is to get larger, more shapely muscles and an aesthetic physique. Okay, whereas a power lifter, all they want to do is bench press, squat, and deadlift the absolute maximum amount of weight. You know, and I got my total up around 1,200. But obviously, I'm not built for that. actually genetically, I'm not built for bodybuilding or powerlifting, you know, but in the long run, as far as longevity, which is one of my big thrusts nowadays, I'm perfect for that because I don't have the extreme high testosterone levels, you know, that are required. That the guys who are champions in any of these, or the gals, I mean, the testosterone plays into that. So when I weigh it against longevity, which as I get older now, you know, I'm 70 years of age, that's more important to me than just being a super strong guy. So yeah, I'm with you on the bench press. I would say don't do bench press. There are much better ways to build the pecs than that.
You know, you mentioned longevity there as well as just the pursuit of strength. There's a guy named I'm going to get this name wrong. Pat McNamara, I think. He was a Special Forces fellow. He's a motivational trainer. He's very much into functional strength training. I don't know him. I've never met him. I've just seen some videos, read some interviews. Yeah, I watched an interview with Mr. McNamara. It was sort of that, from his perspective, there are 5 reasons to work out, or 5 reasons for strength training, right? One is self-preservation, longevity. The second would be the ability to save your own life, right, in an emergency situation. The third, and I love the way he put this, more importantly, the ability to be Batman if necessary and save someone else's life. The ability to, if one has to get in a scrap, the ability to emerge from that, you know, reasonably unscathed. And of course, the 5th element is cosmetics. Hang on, I've lost my Zoom window here. Oh, there we go. You know, and just looking better.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And you know, I'm vain enough that 5th reason I think is certainly one that appeals to me. But the idea of especially longevity, you know, improving your health, including your muscular strength and so forth, to the point where it can your body can continue to carry you for as long as possible, I think seems to be just a fundamentally important goal.
And there's even more to it than just the word longevity. When I speak of it, when I write about it, I call it maximizing my functional longevity. Because I have known people in their 80s, 90s that are living long, relatively long, according to the bell curve, because of their genetics, but they're not functional.
Right.
They can't walk anymore. They have one of these things called a walker. That's not the way I want to end up. Okay. If you study centenarians, people that live past 100, and super centenarians, which I've studied in detail for years, those people, the super centenarians, 100, 110, 115, I mean, really get up there, they're on average functional up till 2 weeks from their death date. Of course, they're still doing a lot of normal things, and the end is quick. It's like 2 weeks. Okay, I know people, family members, friends, I know plenty of them. In fact, most of the people I know, unfortunately, are falling into this. They get in their 70s, even their 70s, 80s, 90s, and they're not functional anymore. Somebody lives into their 90s, they say, wow, that person lived a long life. Yeah, okay, but let's look at the functionality. The last 15 to 20 years of that person's life, they've been fat, weak, they don't work out, they can't, like my mother, 94, can't get off a couch, just using her regular muscular power. She has to rock forward and rock to a point to where she can put her hands on the couch, and between her arms and her legs and the momentum carry her to a hunched over vertical position. And she's lucky. She falls a lot. And so that's the way I do not want to end up. I had a fellow I used to take cycling journeys cross country with, and he died at 72. And I remember back when he was younger than me, he was big and rotund and the waist and everything. And he was making fun because, well, every vegan I've ever known, is weak and sickly. Well, he was a strong guy, but he's gone at 72. And so I have no intent on that. And like on my masthead of my website, I say health, fitness, longevity warrior, because I don't know, there's something in my head. It's this warrior mentality that if necessary, I can rise to whatever occasion, and I don't want to just be a walking around, not able to walk around a house or be an invalid. That is not how I see myself. I mean, these weights here, when I go, Wayne, I hope I'm doing an exercise with my dumbbells.
Go out in action.
Go out in action.
Yeah.
That's
So the idea then is and this ties in very well with something that I was going to ask separately, but I think we're already there. There's been a lot of science recently, although of course no science except pandemic related has gotten the headlines for the past year.
Yeah.
Into the science behind not only living longer, but living functionally, living well longer.
correct.
And
Yeah.
that's actually one of the things that I find so appealing about your site. I love the little the slogan that you have on one of the title pages. Come with me if you want to live. Brilliantly taken from the Terminator.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I put that on the entry screen. Come with me if you want to live. Right. I took it from Arnold, who was just getting started here in the United States when I was getting started. But my main motto that I've used a lot is live long, finish strong. In other words, living long by itself is only part of the equation. Finishing strong is the part of the equation. I see too many people suffer. Most people I know suffer, family, friends. I don't want to suffer like that.
I understand.
I want to go out in warrior mode. And yeah, maybe it's ego. I don't know what it is. Self-preservation, like that fellow you were quoting. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. There's a line, and I've quoted this before, not to you because this is the first time that we've talked, in Arnold's New Encyclopedia of Modern Bodybuilding.
Mm-hmm.
And the assertion is that whenever someone says to Arnold, well, am I too old to start bodybuilding? He asserts that his response is, no, you're too old not to start bodybuilding, which I think is a pretty sound position.
That's right.
So,
I mean, that's the great thing about bodybuilding. Okay, it's not powerlifting, it's not weightlifting, it's bodybuilding. It's a health-oriented thing. That's why when I started this channel, it was originally called Bodybuilding for Health and Longevity, because people think of bodybuilding, they think of these guys on the stage that are destroying their bodies. For the physique, which I like watching those guys. They get me motivated, and yeah, but I know what they're doing to their body because I've known guys that have died, in their 40s, and it's not worth it.
if someone would come to you right now and they would say, I want to get into bodybuilding. I don't know that I want to be a competitor, but I want to look better. I want to be stronger. I want to be more functional. And I think I want to be a bodybuilder in that sense. What advice would you give them if there were, one or two pieces of indispensable wisdom that you would impart to them? What would those be?
Working with somebody one-on-one is the best way. I would say, if you really want to get into it, find a small gym that's privately owned, or if it's one of these gyms like 24-hour fitness that has a private owner, but it's part of a bigger thing or whatever. I don't know what their paradigm is, but find a place that has a bodybuilder who owns it and can work with you personally and is not into like, okay, your hour's up, give me 50 more bucks and then we'll do another one,
Right.
Dedication is an absolute must. Perseverance, you got to stick with it. Bodybuilding doesn't happen overnight for anybody. The people that are new into it, they make gains rapidly because their body, it's just like, body's never seen this before. Bam, it just responds, and it does that for a long time, actually. It's not doing that at that level for me anymore. But Yeah, it's okay. You have to stick with it. There's no quick fixes. You know, these clickbaits you see on YouTube. These people are masters at clickbait. Absolute masters at clickbait. In fact, I tried it a few videos back. I did a sensational clickbait little thumbnail. You know, like grow muscle faster now. You know, it got more views than my part 2 and part 3. You know, about the thing about non-counting reps. People want quick fixes. You know, that's why people don't take care of themselves and don't monitor their health and go into the gym and work out, because they'd rather just go to a doctor, get pills, or get an operation to keep them alive. You know, bodybuilding is a lifetime, it's a lifestyle for me. I have a shirt that says natural bodybuilding, a way of life, one of my designs. And it is a way of life. It can't just be a sport. It has to be ingrained in your head. You have to want to live and thrive with your body as much. To me, it's like breathing air. You know, I mean, there's no way in the world I'll ever stop this. I might use less weight. In fact, I do. You know, I don't use the weight I used to. I can't. But it doesn't matter. Keeping the body fit and living long and finishing strong, those are the keys. And so the biggest piece of advice, I guess, would be you have to really want it. You have to want it bad. I mean, does that answer your question? Or
Yeah, I think it does.
Okay.
I think it does. Yeah.
I mean, you have to find somebody that's willing to work with you. I don't get into giving the advice on my channel so much because I don't know who I'm talking to. I just don't know who it is. How can I give advice to somebody? I don't know what their physical condition is, what's wrong with them. When I had the gym, you know, I would discuss medical issues, the whole 9 yards. I don't know what kind of equipment they have. I don't know what their motivation is. I can't see their physique. It's nothing. And so just throwing advice out into the stratosphere there on the internet, I don't know. You know, I give talks and things, but it's like, I think, well, maybe I should come up with this knock 'em dead killer routine that'll work for anybody, and I'll just show it. Well, I can show it. Some people don't have weights. You know, some people maybe don't have a pull-up bar. They don't have anything. You know, I remember in high school, we had to go out as part of a physical fitness test, and they had the pull-up bar, and we had to do pull-ups in front of the whole class. Oh, I hated it. I hated PE with a passion. And I remember Gary States. I remember his name. He had a bodybuilder's physique in high school, and all he did was freehand exercising. He got up in the pull-up bar. I don't even remember how many he did. He did 31 pull-ups.
Wow.
31. And I'm like, wow. And then they call me Greene, you know. And everybody's watching you see. And I was always like one of the last ones to be picked for football team, you know, flag football. I get up there. It was all I could do to get one. Just
I understand very well.
But you have to have the mindset. And I don't know, maybe some adversity when you're younger helps with the mindset and helps to drive you. I don't know. You have to be dedicated. Dedication to it every day. Whether you feel like it or not, if it's your gym day, you go to the gym. Don't want to lift as much weight? Fine, don't lift as much weight. Lift less. Do it stricter, do it slower, do less rest between sets. All the progressive overload techniques that are out there. There's a lot of ways, but you don't just stop.
You know, I found that I tend to get caught up in analysis paralysis. When I'm getting ready to start a new regimen, or say, okay, I have this particular, you know, range of months or something, and I'm really going to see what I can get done in this period. I find that I get caught up in, because I have a bunch of books about bodybuilding and strength training and a bunch of magazines, and as you've noted, there's everybody and their dog has some specific way that exactly right to do it, and there's being on YouTube now, and some of it's great advice, you know.
Oh yeah, a lot of it's great advice.
Some of it not so much, but there is so much of it, and it is so conflicting. And this is just an internal problem that I have. if I go to the gym and I get there and I don't feel that I am doing things exactly like I should be doing them, it really just sucks the energy out of me and it makes me want to go less the next time. But my wife gave me the best advice. She said, and she didn't put it quite like this. This is sort of my interpretation. Um, Give yourself permission to suck. If you're having a low energy day and you're thinking, I'm not going to get anything done at the gym, great. As long as you get there and don't hurt yourself and you get something done and you come home, fantastic. And it'll be easier to go the next day, maybe when your energy will be higher or what have you. So that's how I motivate myself. Is I give myself permission to do a bad job if that's the day, you know. So
Well,
yeah.
I would venture to say that your bad job is light years ahead of the average American or citizen of first world countries, for example. Your bad job is way beyond that.
That's
Because
very
you're
kind
in
of
the
you.
gym and you're lifting, and it's just little steps, billions and trillions of little steps over years and years, and it all pays off. It sets a foundation. It strengthens your bones. Our bodies are meant to be used. People, they start breaking their bones, most of them, when they get older, if they fall. Why? Because they never loaded their bones. They never loaded their skeleton, because we live now in a soft society where people do nothing except watch TV, go on the internet, and all this kind of stuff. They don't get out there. They don't play, don't ride a bicycle, don't play tennis, don't swim, don't work out. We're soft. And so when we get old, hey, bone density is a natural thing. All of us, it decreases over time. So it's important to keep your frame loaded. And so doing anything is better than nothing. Assuming you're not doing things that are just plain ill-advised as far as
Blatantly destructive. Yeah.
right.
So those other things, because they're easier and they're handy. Oh, let me just see what's on YouTube today. That kind of thing.
You get stuck.
You do get stuck. There also is another category, though, and I'm curious as to how many people this applies to. I suspect it's a lot. Living is expensive, and times are tough. And I don't want to state aloud how many jobs I have, but if we include trying to make things for the channel as a job, which it's really not, but it takes up more time than it should.
Yeah, it does.
Man, I work just almost all the time. My suspicion is that lots of people do fall into that category of, I would love to get to the gym. If somebody can take, this thing off my plate, for the next 2 hours, that'd be fantastic. And I will go. But I guess that's where the dedication thing comes into it.
Well, and getting back to a prior question about the ingredients for getting into bodybuilding, I think the probably as much as dedication, you want to have fun in the gym. I mean, it sounds really weird. I don't hear anybody saying this, but you need to have fun. We as humans continue activities that we enjoy. Mm-hmm. We have fun doing. If we're not having fun doing something, we don't want to do it. We make excuses to avoid it. Go in there and have fun. That's what I do now. I did that rep counting series recently because mm-hmm. I found that trying to predict with my mind ahead of time was not working for maximizing my muscles. Plus, I would want to get to a certain repetition, and so I was focused on getting to that repetition. Otherwise, I didn't make it. Oh, I didn't make it. No,
I understand.
So I got rid of that. For 2 months now, I've finally thrown that in the trash. And so I just pick up the weight and I go what I can do. And then I do partials and I have fun because I'm getting the pump. I'm not worried about a number. Can't do another one? Okay. Do a few partials here, set it down, get up and do, go to the next superset thing or whatever. Have fun. Have fun, get the pump, enjoy what you're doing. If you enjoy what you're doing in anything in life, you will be successful in that endeavor. It doesn't matter whether it's in the gym or in a person's career or whatever. Enjoyment. Somebody said, who was it? I don't know. You probably know. If you enjoy what you're doing, for a living, you'll never work a day in your life. You know,
Yeah, I don't recall who said that, but I have heard the saying before. Yeah. Oh, I absolutely agree. I agree.
yeah, was it Mark Twain? I don't know. I don't know
I don't
who.
know.
Who knows? But yeah, and so like when I had my gym, I absolutely ate it up. I didn't consider that work, even though I was putting 90 hours a week into the thing. You know, I loved it. It was my life. I think having fun is the key.
That makes a lot of sense. And Steve, that is a perfect note to end our discussion today on.
All right, that was it. Part 2 of my discussion with Steve Greene, the Iron Vegan, Old Man Muscle. If you liked it, feel free to give it a thumbs up, and by all means subscribe if you haven't already. Come back for more videos about bodybuilding and music and dudes who have cats on their shoulders. And also, soon I hope to start putting up some videos that focus on the other heavy geekery that is promised in the channel's subtitle. So, all right, y'all. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk to you soon.